Hello there. Northern Ireland has just seen a fourth night of so-called race rioting. This time it spread from Ballymena in County Antrim to the north of Lough Neagh to Portadown in County Armagh to the south of the loch, where masked youths hurled missiles at police officers. And these events have been labelled by the authorities as bigoted and racist. The politicians have failed. The politics has failed. So let's blame the ordinary citizen and enforce mass migration on them by using the heavy-handed police. Something that can only cause more anger. No route to air grievances, no route to a safety valve. So leaving no room, therefore, for any investigations in the future into any legitimate reason people may have for resorting to this sort of behaviour, because violence must never have a legitimate reason. Unlike the BLM mostly peaceful riots, where all manner of excuses seem to have been wheeled out. So, demanding that violence has no place in Western society seems to many to be a one-way, two-tier street. Unlike the threats of violence that keep the Batley teacher and his family in hiding, as well as that poor young lad who scuffed a certain book of worship. That's almost, no it is, applauded by the hard left. It's almost like the establishment from his Madge down wants to sow division, isn't it? Anyway, more of that in a moment, but just before I widen the conversation out, please like, subscribe, and comment below, and become a member of this channel for a monthly cost of less than the price of a pint in London to get extra unique content by clicking on the join button or following the link in the descriptions box below on your desktop computer. Anyway, everybody, please be as polite as you can when commenting on this, and no inciting language, please. We are all being monitored for woke compliance. So, Richard, what do you think about all of this?
As we said, Jeff, in a previous video, we know that tensions are very high, obviously, and we can understand why tensions are high. But this whole spreading of the disturbances, we'll call it disturbances, riots, not all riots, incidentally. There are protests going on which are not forming into riots as well in Northern Ireland. But the sheer fact that we are seeing this happening so fast, spreading so fast, does say that there is going to be increased momentum, I'm afraid to say. And I think this reminds me of what I was watching Dr. David Betts say with Andrew Gold last night, that you'll start to see things breaking out here, there, and everywhere. And before you know it, this will all start to culminate. And I do think this could cross over to the UK as well now, because, as Dr. David Betts said, you just have to look at your neighbours and the surrounding areas to find out what the potential is and probability for a civil war taking place in your own country. Well, of course, Northern Ireland is part of the United Kingdom, but the really dark and worrying point that he did make is that these riots are being called racist at the moment, and do you know what? There could actually become a racist component in the future. I'm sorry to say, but that could happen in the future, okay? Because, as Dr. David Betts said, right now, it's all well and good saying that this is just cultural, okay? Unfortunately, when civil war kicks in, if this does happen, because it's looking that way, it really is looking that way, if that does kick in, then there will be a hideous racist component which will come. And there will be a far right, but it'll be racism on all sides. It won't just be one-sided. No. The racism, actually, let's face it, we do have racism taking place right now against the British people and against the Irish people, the people in Northern Ireland, and against in Southern Ireland as well, I should say. So, yes, we are seeing racism as a component already. Jeff?
Yes, and there is more and more talk of an impending civil war, not just in the UK, but across the civilized Western world. And in the words of the expert on civil war, Professor David Betts, already mentioned, he said, "Dear elites, the consequences of your actions have arrived. Because he can't see how civil conflict can be avoided given how far down the road we've come with all the changes that our successive governments have forced upon us. In his words, there is no political off-ramp for us without some ruckus now being involved. Even in the face of well-established and esteemed economic and social science commentators over the last few decades warning of the detrimental consequences of mass migration, our political classes just continue with it. Now, the hard left woke Marxists will reject all of that. They will claim that it is the racist, bigoted, far right and its refusal to change their lives and their attitudes quickly enough in order to assimilate themselves into the new country being formed around them by the inevitable hard left driven mass migration, that we should accept everything that happens to us, even to our youngsters, for the sake of the diversity the hard left wishes to force upon us. The hard left that believes the country should effectively not exist as a cohesive country, but rather as an area of the world that everyone else has the right to come to and make demands of. The problem for them, though, is that more and more people are waking up to this nonsense of this argument, especially when they are ordered to obey the multi-culti diktats and are forced via taxation to pay for them too. And especially when they're openly lied to about the history of their own land and culture by an establishment hell-bent on having you ignore the evidence of your own eyes and memory and believe the state gaslighting that somehow our own forefathers had absolutely nothing to do with building this country, its heritage and culture, and that Christianity had nothing to do with it either. So the question I'm asking you to politely answer is, do you think it is the job of the UK citizen to just roll over to demands from the internationalists, to disregard our very own cultural existence so as to pander to the wishes of the woke internationalists? Or do we have a primary duty to maintain our own unique identity and Britishness? And just think about that with the backdrop of Northern Ireland in mind. That's what I'm asking anyway. And as you can tell, I'm a little bit sort of miffed about it all.
Yeah, going back to the point about racism there, Jeff, which is the fact is that people are already starting to racially profile because the cultural thing has been taken out of the equation now, to be honest with you. I think the left has removed culture from this and ensured that race becomes a very strong component. Because if race is not a strong component, then they have no leverage, do they? Let's face it. You have the race baiters out there. They will be using this. They'll actually be glad to see racism on the streets. I'm convinced of it. If it wasn't for Keir Starmer, for bloody Boris Johnson and the rest of the idiots who introduced mass migration and Angela Merkel, everyone in Europe who introduced this, if it wasn't for them, we'd be in a very different Europe right now. Western civilization would be entirely different. It's all about assimilation, you see. If people are not assimilating into a culture, and you have people from a different culture that happens to have a different racial profile, guess how people are going to view them? They're going to view them as other, as different. That's how it's going to take place. That's already taken place. They view us as different. And I say us, I'm part Middle Eastern myself. I've got Scottish, Irish, English, whatever, Norwegian, Dutch blood, and Iranian. Who cares? The point is that we all have perceptions, right? We all perceive people slightly different, okay? And that's not racism. It's just perception. Racism is when that perception turns into a negative outcome where you prejudice against somebody. And that's going to happen, though. That's the sad, hideous thing, is that there will be a rebirth of racism throughout the world. And this is actually biblical, ethnos against ethnos, that this would one day happen. And we're going to see it. Unfortunately, we will see real racism taking the forefront of politics. It's already happening. It's already happening. But you look in Parliament right now, okay? and you have people, you have MPs there who get where they are on a ticket of Gaza, of Palestine, and you think, hang on a second, you have no allegiance to the British people, to the people that of your constituency. Oh, hang on a second. Well, what's the demographic of that constituency? That's the way this is going. Sectarianism is building, and with that will come racism. I'm sorry, it is total. As Dr. David Betts said, it's the balkanization of Western society. It's hideous, hideous, hideous. None of us wanted it. Who on earth voted for a Labour government or anybody else that would bring in a complete destruction of our way of life here in Britain? Who voted for that? Really? Are there actually some Labour supporters out there who want that? Well bloody done to you. Sorry. You think you're miffed, Jeff?
Yeah. Here's a good comment from YouTube user. Northern Ireland isn't British. Technically, absolutely correct, because the United Kingdom is made up of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. So Britain doesn't. But when we talk about British in general, we do mean the Northern Irish as well. That's a sort of a given, but it's a sloppy phrase. The UK is the actual phrase we should be using. I understand that. Yeah. Now, one of the things that drives civil war, believe it or not, is the stability of the countries around us. So if areas around us become unstable due to one reason or another, it causes people to move in great numbers suddenly, and it can drive instability into surrounding countries. So it's quite amazing that some of the countries around the world, especially around Syria and around Ukraine, that have taken a lot of asylum seekers or refugees haven't sort of descended into violence. But you've got to remember that the people that move there want to go back home. So eventually they'll go back home, or most of them do anyway, to rebuild their homeland. But it's when they come here to live here forever in mass droves, that's when. And then we hand out passports, we hand out not just visas, we hand out citizenship, and we hand out political power, the vote. You can stand in elections. That's because they're here permanently. And that's when things begin to get really, really tasty, I would say. So just, when you see things beginning to get a bit sour in Northern Ireland, and they have been sour in the Republic of Ireland as well. And people are crossing that border between the two, because no one, if you even put a policeman within 10 miles of that border, especially in the north, there'll be all hell let loose. So, people just have to walk back and forth at will to get the best deal. Where do I go to get the most money and the best house? And there's things like that drive ill feeling and ill will towards people when it's that blatant.
Well, it's not just that, Jeff. Also, as Dr. David Betts said, it's not two factions at play here. There'll be multiple factions in civil war. He was absolutely correct. There will be so many different sides competing to have their say and their little bit of position in society. And again, these will fall into racial lines as well, I'm afraid to say. Jeff, I'm absolutely flabbergasted at this world.
Yeah.
Who'd have thought 10 years ago we'd be doing a live stream like this or having a conversation like this? Who'd have thought it just 10 years ago? Things have just descended so fast. Ireland, look at what's happening in Ireland, south and north.
Yeah.
The country is at breaking point. All of Europe is. It's almost as if they're doing it by design. And I have to say, I can't find any other explanation than they want people to become subhuman in some respects. I have to say that. When I say subhuman, what I mean is they want people to descend into forms of behavior that are not natural to them. Who wants civil war? Really? Who wants that? Who really wants to be protesting on the street? Nobody does. Yeah. Nobody wants that. These are the repercussions of terrible, terrible events that have taken place. Awful events. And when I say events, I'm talking about mass immigration without consent. This is not consensual at all.
No, and what was I going to say? I've got a comment here. Yeah, here we go. I've taken it down. No far right in Southport, and I'm wondering whether when the event, when the report from all these events in 2 or 3 years comes out, people say, "Well, all we found was locals reacting to a
That's
situation."
already happened. I believe
Yeah.
that report has already come out.
No, in Southport it has, yes. But I'm
Yes,
talking
yes.
about these events
Oh, these
over the
events.
last
Oh,
couple of days.
well, I mean, we know
Yeah.
exactly what's going to come out there, don't we? You know, I'm
Yeah.
sure that
Well, we'll
they'll.
see.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, one of the things, having listened to Professor Betts on a few videos, there's something that we must understand about this concept of civil war. We always simplify it down to sort of it's the one side against the other, or it's the people against the government. It's not, especially in the UK. If we were to descend into that, you've got so many other factions involved. The first is, I'll start from the top. Scots nationalists will want to deliver on their dream. Northern Irish people who want to join the South will want to have their dream. The Welsh separatists will want their dream. English nationalists will want their dream. Then you've got all the religions in between. Then you've got the state itself. Then you've got the monarchists. You get the idea. There are going to be Republicans who want, who want a president, not a royal family. Everybody will be forming into their individual factions. It will be extremely complex, and you will be fighting people who agree 90% with you, but they have one thing that's differing with you, and that's their main driver, and they'll fight you for it. You won't know who to trust. You'll be driven out of your home. You could well be driven out of your home. And if you fight for it, it could be your demise in it. So you take your family. You'll never have that house again. It's gone. All your dreams, all your wealth, gone. That's what happens in civil wars. It's nasty. And the
Yes.
very fact that we're even talking about this, that our politicians are so garbage that they've got us here, just tells us everything we need to know about our education system that has produced these people, because they are the ones that have gone through the elite type systems. All those lawyers. There's more lawyers in the House of Commons, I think, than anything else. There's no train drivers in there that I know of, no miners, no ordinary people.
Yeah.
They're all from the elites. That's what they've done to this country. And then they go and put each other in the House of Lords. They make sure that the elites fill the civil service. This is what the elites have done to the rest of us. They've done it to us because they think they know better. Just remember that the next time you vote.
Yeah, this is all part of the Great Reset, though. Have no doubt of that.
Yeah.
They want civil war. I'm convinced of it. Okay, I may be wrong, but I don't think I am on this. Look, they could easily deal with the situation, or they could have dealt with the situation. Now it's not so easy. I think that point has been crossed, unfortunately. Although I will still keep pushing, as you will, Jeff, for a political way out of this, but it's not looking very good. But what we're going to have is we're going to have a balkanization, a faction against faction. And then all of a sudden, we're going to need to have somebody step in. Someone or a system even. Oh, let me think. Yes, a system to step in and reestablish order that everyone will agree with. Somebody who's very strong who will... And we shouldn't be looking at this in terms of Britain. No. This is a breakdown of Western civilization. We are talking about somebody's going to have to step in and sort everything out. Mr. Fix-It, we'll call him. No, I can think of another Mr. Fix-It, actually.
Mr. Tommy Fix-It.
Yeah. Well, it'd be good if Tommy could come in and sort that. But this goes beyond Tommy, I'm afraid. Yeah. This is what we've got coming is very, very dangerous.
Jeff Radcliffe says, just heard that they're putting up our tax in October to 44%. The last time it was that high was D-Day. They've got to pay for all of this somehow. They can't. And I don't know whether people have cottoned on. The private sector jobs are coming down. The public sector jobs are going up. because lefty governments always think that the main employer must be the state. And we're going to end up with something like British Leyland on steroids. I can assure you, that's where we're going. This is just ridiculous.
One thing here, Jeff, talking about jobs, I do have a slight sympathy for Labour. Yes, I did say that. Yes, I did say that.
I'm muting you now.
In one thing alone. And that is, jobs will start, they are coming down, and they will start coming down a lot faster. And we know why. Because of AI. We are looking at, I think we read recent reports that in 2 years, we could be looking at the decimation of 40% of white-collar jobs in certain parts of the world. Now, you think about that for a moment. So we are going to see, we're going to see the city centres become empty. And anyone who works with a computer, yourself and myself included there, Jeff, probably, will be out of a job. And that's a foregone conclusion within 5 years to 10 years anyway. To be totally out of a job if you're a white-collar worker. But I was reading today that the NHS are going to be using more and more robots for doing operations now with AI guiding them. And I'm like, oh, okay. So, yes, you will start to see this. But anyway, what we need to do is just focus on the times that we are living in. And if you're a Christian, you get a good idea of what's happening, because this has never happened before. I don't care what anybody says. These are very, very unique times we're living in. Very unique.
Yeah, sorry, I'm going through some of these comments. There's quite a few I can't put up.
Oh yeah,
but
I mean, the one thing which I did find heartwarming was the Catholics and Protestants coming together in Ireland, in Northern Ireland, sorry. I thought that was incredible. And that hopefully that will bode well for the future. Regardless of this, what hopefully is a temporary situation, I hope that there will be peace will be made in the north because of this. Maybe some kind of peace between the south and the north as well. Yeah. I could say a lot more, except
it's sad that when you get two conflicting sides as deep as the that cause the troubles or that sort of thing, it always takes an outside, even worse force to drive them together, and that's what happens.
Well, a perceived worse force. We can't actually say now.
Perceived,
because, because we know that immigration is good. So look, the thing is, nobody is actually against immigration. I'm not against immigration. Jeff, you're not against immigration. It's the quantity and it's the type of immigration that we have. There are countries that we trade with and deal with in other parts of the world, which have got far stricter immigration policies than we have. There's stricter immigration policies into countries within Europe, in the EU that Starmer wants to get closer to. And I think, oh, okay.
Yeah, well, there's a good comment from Martin Williams. It's about inclusivity. If you are not inclusive, they exclude you.
Yeah. That's a very good one. That is actually well done, Martin. Spot on.
So I worry that people are gradually going to be swept up into this this situation. If an event now happens on mainland Britain, if it starts spreading from Northern Ireland, it's going to be a little bit difficult to control it. At the end of the day, I mean, when you listen to Professor Betts and he's talking about there's no off ramp now, there's no political off ramp outside of you're going to have a ruckus with someone to achieve that political aim. Now we've got a country that is so full of so many different people and different cultures pulling in different directions. The politicians cannot service them all, and they haven't got enough money to service them all. So there's going to be losers. And it's
going to be very much a case of, as I said, the racial component. People are now going to start band together and think, okay, are you one of us? Whatever us is, whichever side you are on, that's what's going to start happening. Do you look the same as you look different to us? Oh, in that case, I view you differently. Not just view you differently, I'm going to apply a prejudice against you. Now, that's the danger of where we're walking into.
Yeah.
It's already started happening, and we know this. Not what anybody wanted. I can remember, Jeff,
Yeah.
like yourself, you go back, let's go back, say, 20, 30 years, right? If you're down in London, I mean, yes, it was multicultural then, but there was none of this tension that maybe there was, that I didn't see it, but there was not quite the
No.
same level of tension that we have today. You could walk around London, and London was London. Now London is not London. It's something else. I don't know what it is. And
It's an internationalist city. Like, they want all cities across the
yes,
world to look like that, where it sort of represents the global population, and that's where the laws are made, isn't it?
yes.
Think about that. Yeah. So
As we
yeah,
said before, though, Jeff, it'd be one thing if, say, if you all of a sudden we started taking some African countries or Middle Eastern countries and then totally changing the demographic of those places. There'd be quite a few on the left who have something to say on that. But it's okay
yeah,
when it happens within Europe, apparently. It's okay to say, oh, hang on a second. No. Everybody, it's all relativist. Everything needs to be, forget individualistic cultures. We need just one single culture, which is made up of every other culture. And unfortunately, a dominant culture will arise within that. That's the point. There will be a dominant, I shouldn't say religion, should I? Why would I say religion? Good grief. There will be a dominant culture that will arise within that, especially if the weakness has occurred within the host nation's culture, which was prior to that dominant. We were a Christian nation. We are a Christian nation, I should say. I'm not giving up on that, that's for sure.
yeah. As Roy Sinclair says, I think this is in reply to what I was talking about. That's why civil war is the worst war possible, is because you can't even civil war is where brother fights brother, blood brother. It's where
Yeah.
cousins fight. It's where daughters fight mothers, fathers fight sons. That's what civil war is, because it is awful. It's a real you just do not want to go there. And the fact I said that the politicians have failed, and serious commentators, not us, we're just telling you what other people are saying. These serious people are talking like this about, the potential of civil unrest in this country, should send a very cold shiver down your spine.
Mm.
Yeah.
I was everywhere
Anyway,
you'd go, though, Jeff. We've said this before. Wherever we go, people are coming on to us, onto yourself, onto myself, saying, "Oh, at some point this country's going to enter a civil war." I used to just dismiss it initially. Thought,
yeah,
"Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, get you a bit angry. You're a bit angry," but now it's not funny. Awful times we are in at the moment. We need to pray as well. I know people say, "Shut up, prayer doesn't do anything." Yes, it does, and you shut up. We do need to pray for this country. We need to pray for Western civilization. We need to pray for Ireland. I don't know
yeah.
what the answer is. Well, I do know what the answer is. Yeah.
Yeah, this one from Tony, you'll own nothing and be happy. The thing about this is that when they say nothing, they mean nothing. No history, no culture,
Oh, that's
no
good, Jeff. That's a good
heritage,
point. Very good
no
point.
family,
Yes.
nothing. You will
Yes.
own absolutely nothing. You will just be a drone.
Yeah.
That's it. You are here as a drone. That is what the nothing truly means. Not I won't have a car, or I won't own
Yeah.
the clothes. No, nothing. You will have nothing, and you'll be happy because you know no better. Yeah.
Yes, you'll be in a state of let's increased endorphins and increased chemicals. It's all very
Yeah.
the way it's going is all very Aldous Huxley, to be honest. Your Brave New World, more than or there's a hybrid really of Orwell and Huxley. I think what we've got arising here.
From Miguel Letra, just calm down and be rational. Yes, we could be rational as we get walked over. It's yeah. I'll be rational about it. Because rational says just do as you're told and everything will be fine and it will just die down. But a lot of common sense is not based on rationality. It's based on a truth that we all know. When Professor Betts talks about this sort of thing, he puts it in very. He's very careful to put it in very not scholastic, but in those sorts of terms, in so that he doesn't get caught up by rhetoric or anything. But but everything he says is based in common sense. You can tell it when he's delivering it. It's just common sense. People know that you don't do that because it'll have a bad result. You know, you don't need someone to actually lecture you for half an hour on it. You just know. So, yeah. Anyway, I think I've exhausted myself on this one, and it leaves me very angry. But
yeah, I think everyone's
go.
angry. We just don't want to give Mr. Starmer what he wants us to give him, which is our anger in a violent form. There's nothing wrong with being angry and understanding a situation and talking about it. I think we should be able to talk about our anger, especially if that's the one thing that stops us entering into, I can't say stop us entering into civil war, but at least mitigate, just reduce some of the impact of a scenario like that if it is coming, which everyone seems to be saying it is, and all the signs are there according to the experts that that's what we're heading towards. So we need to be able to talk and express ourselves, all of us. And if we don't, then things could get worse. Things could get much worse. It's like, as I said earlier, people are racially profiling people now. Okay, that is a thing that is happening. Okay, we can't say, I'm not saying it's a good thing. It's the last thing on earth I wanted to see happen within my lifetime. But it's something that is happening. And it's not far right doing it. It's everybody's doing it right across the spectrum. Everybody, including the left, incidentally, especially the left in some regards, especially if somebody's Jewish. That's one of the things I've noticed from the left. Hideous. It's happening all the time. Anyway, you lot, listen, please, join, like, subscribe, and become a member of this channel so you get the extra content, blah, 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 blah. You can't, it's very difficult to join on your phone with iOS or whatever. Not sure if you can do it with Android, but if you can use a desktop or laptop, there's on YouTube, and you can press the join thing and subscribe, whatever it's called, subscribe plus, whatever. Just go and do it. Off you go.
And on that very informative note, it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him. Goodbye.
Goodbye.